G'day and welcome back to RC Model Reviews. Today I'm going to give you a very quick tour around the Horus, the X12S from FrSky. And I'm not going to show anything that hasn't been seen elsewhere, so it's not going to violate my NDA. But I'm going to give you a quick look at what this radio's got on the front panel and some of my thoughts about what I think of it so far. Now, obviously it is quite a reasonable size radio. If you compare it to the Taranis, which I don't have a Taranis around. Hang on a minute, I've got to find a Taranis. Now you can see from this that the Horus is, it is a bit wider than the Taranis. And so when I first saw it, I thought, it's a big radio. How am I ever going to be able to hold this in my tiny little, almost girl hands? And if we put the Taranis down here, you can see that it's obviously because of this large screen here, it is quite a bit taller as well. So it makes it into a fairly big radio, and that's why I thought initially, tray radio, don't like tray radios. Let's do some comparisons here in thickness. It's noticed a bit thinner than the Taranis overall, a little bit thinner. And it is a reasonably heavy radio. I'll get my scales, we'll weigh it. Here we go. How much does the Horus weigh? Well, there you go. It's 1.3 kilos. Now that's, a fairly heavy radio. That's with the nickel metal hydride pack that comes in it. Here's my Taranis for comparison, which has a zippy 1800 LRFE battery. So we're looking at 800 grams versus 1300 grams, a 500 gram difference. It's quite a bit of difference in weight. So if you're a weak-armed, puny little girl, you'll need a neck strap for this. If you're a real man like me, doesn't matter. I can hold a radio that weighs 1.3 kgs. Goodness me, it probably even gives you a workout while you're using it. So that's the weight and size comparisons. But let's have a look at what we've got basically on this radio. Well, it's pretty straightforward. We've got two sticks. Now, the sticks are worth a mention. As has been outlined elsewhere, these are Hall effect sticks. There's no potentiometers in here. I can't show you what's inside, but there are no pots in these sticks. In fact, the only moving parts are these sticks themselves. That's pretty cool. They're a quad ball bearing gimbal. In fact, there's more than 4 ball bearings in there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ball bearings in each stick unit, which is pretty good. Gives you a bit of a clue as to how well these are made. 6 ball bearings, and because there's no drag from potentiometers, you can have these as light as you like. Now, I like my throttle quite light, and the throttle stick on here is very light. I only have a little bit of friction on there, and I like it that way because throttle is one of your key controls, and if you've got lag, if your throttle is stiff, then it's really hard to give fine adjustments in power, especially when you're flying something like a mini quad, where that can be the difference between going under a gate and hitting it. So yeah, I like the stick units. They feel nice. Now I can't really feel any slop around center, so they're nicely machined. There's a good engineering quality here, so there's no slop. And of course they are variable length sticks. You'll see there's a hex key in there. You can wind them out or in depending on your preferences. If you're going to be a tray radio user, you'll probably want them out quite a way because you tend to pinch. But if you're a thumber like me, you don't want them too long because then it becomes hard to reach from point to point on the gimbals. Now, having said that, I probably wouldn't fly 3D with this radio with the sticks this length because it is quite a reach from there to there for fingers my size. So that's one of the things that I look at when I want to fly a 3D model. Do I use a transmitter that makes me really reach for the edges of the gimbals? And because of its increased size, this is a little bit of a reach, but actually, having said that, it's not too bad. And I've just got my Taranis here. I'll just compare it. It's a bit further than the Taranis, but not excessively so. So yeah, so far I'm happy with what I see here. Now, obviously there's a bunch of switches and dials and knobs and things. We've got a 2-way switch there, 3-way switch there, 3-way, 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 trainer with spring-loaded switch. So heaps. You're not going to run out of switches on this transmitter. It's great. Nothing worse than trying to set up a radio and finding you've run out of switches. Certainly, or three-way switches. But if you're flying something, like with a Pixhawk or an APM in it, look, a multi-position switch. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-position switch. Woohoo! That's pretty damn good. Interestingly, yep, that's pretty damn good. Although I note that the arrow doesn't always line up perfectly with the legend on the aluminium. Not a big thing. Then remember, this is pre-production, so we can't judge everything from that. Now we've got other knobs here, variable. They have a detent on center, which is good. So you know where center is, even if you're not looking at them when you turn them. So these could be used for all sorts of things, like pitch trim, stuff like that. We've got some disco music tab. All these little sliders here we can use for adjusting whatever. Again, these have a center detent, a mechanical detent, which is great. So you're going to find center point even if you're not looking with your eyes. That's really important. Trims, just the normal clicky switches, as you'd expect for trims. And there's a couple of other clickies here for obviously other channels, whatever you want to do there. So that's your primary controls. Oh, almost forgot. Do I like this radio? Well, of course, it has to have sliders if you want. Oh, hang on. Oh, look, sliders. See that? Lovely. Now these also have a center detent. Perhaps the only downside of sliders here is they don't feel quite so precise as ones that would be, because there's not as much movement in them. So if you have pedals on the side, you get more movement out of them. So it's easy to make small incremental changes. This, from there to there, it's not far. So it could be a bit better, but I'll try it out and see how it goes in the air. Not too much of a worry. Right, big fat booty screen here. This is colour. I haven't turned this on yet. I've got to charge the battery. I'll turn it on later. I'm not going to show you how it works because I'm just showing you what it looks like at the moment. Big booty screen. We'll see how that goes. It's got stuff on there. Is it reflective? Ah, it's reflective. Oh man, it's got a shiny screen. I wanted a matte screen so I can see it better in the sunlight. Maybe I'll get a matte protector. See how that works out. Anyway, down here we've got some other interesting things. Now most radios to date have something like, on the Taranis they have buttons for programming and things. Other radios like JR have a little, and Spectrum sometimes have a little spinny wheel. Futaba have a little dial. Hi-Tech have a little dial. Hi-Tech also have a touchscreen option. I'm glad they didn't use a touchscreen on here. Touchscreens. Actually, one of the things I don't like about touchscreens is that they have usually have a glare, a shiny touch screen overlay which makes the screen reflective. But this is reflective anyway, so I don't know. It's personal preference. Now, what else have we got? We've got down here, we've got a page up and a page down button on this control here for navigation around the screen. And there's a joystick here. This is a little joystick. Look, so you won't be flying with this joystick, but you will be using it, I assume, to program or make changes on the LCD screen. So that's all right. Yeah, interesting. It doesn't push, so it's just a 4-axis joystick and 2 buttons for there. On the other side, we have even more controls to play with. We've got 4 buttons around the edge, arranged in north, south, east and west, and we've got a spinny roundy dial here. And it clicks in the middle. So plenty of inputs for programming your Horus. You've got plenty of control, ways to change stuff on the screen. I'll be looking at that probably in a later video. The radio itself is plastic with a kind of a metal inlay on the front there, which looks quite good. And one thing I do like is it's not like the older one here. See, there's a lot of little nooks and crannies in a lot of these older styled radios where you get dust and dirt. Not so much now, but when you're flying with nitro motors, dust and grease and oil gets in here and dirt. It's really hard to keep these things clean. This is nice and smooth, so wipe this down much more easily. So if you're running nitro, this is really going to be easy to clean. That's important. Now, on the back, let's turn it over. It's got some really nice big rubber hand grips here. These are rubber sculpted, really nice. They're really quite grippy. And it's got rubber feet down here, so when you stand it up, it doesn't scratch stuff, and it's not too stable, but it's stable enough. It's got a handle here, carry handle obviously, and it also means when you put it down, it's sitting at an angle, and it's not just laying flat on its back, and I like that. The antenna, of course, is built in here. Got an antenna built into the radio, so you don't have a rubber ducky getting all bent and twisted out of shape. There are a myriad of little covers, little plastic covers here, and this is what you want to see. Look. A module bay. Yes, they haven't forgotten the module bay. That's really important for if you want to fly UHF or some other thing, or run a Spectrum module or something. You can still do it. And up here it has an SMA connector. See that? So you can plug an external antenna into it. Woohoo! That's kind of nice. Down here we've got the usual fare of, we've got a mini USB, got an SD card. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's where the little tongue goes to hold the flap. Oh, you can see I haven't really spent much time looking here. We've got a buddy board, a buddy box connection here, Futaba style, and a JR style one there, DSC, and again just some tongues. Now I'm looking for a phono jack. Is there a phono jack? I don't actually see a phono jack. As I say, I haven't really looked. There's a charge jack down here for the NIMH, and it comes with an NIMH charger, but I don't see a phono jack. Oh, hold on, what's this on the side? Ta-da! I suspect that's the phono jack there. Can't see. Yes, that's probably it. There isn't one on the other side, so has a phono jack if you want to use an earbud. There you go. A couple of little speakers, these little grills here, that are stereo speakers built in. Woohoo, that's quite nice. So you can hear, unlike that horrible Futaba system that won't talk to you unless you stick an earbud in your ear. This will do the biz, just like the Taranis. So there you go. Probably not a lot else to say. I mean, it seems to be quite nice. My concerns about the ergonomics, were largely unfounded. Although, as I say, I still have some concerns about these sliders being, there's not much movement in them. I would still like to have seen some sliders on the side, but hey, we've got rubber bungs on here. Where else could we put them? Well, not really anywhere else. It's sort of the only place we could really put them. And I'm just going to have a look here. Yeah, actually, sliders are in the wrong place. I'm sorry. If I'm holding the radio, they're not near my finger. It's actually quite a stretch to get my finger around there to that slider if I'm trying to thumb it. Sorry. And if you're tray tabling it, well, you're never going to reach that slider because you're going to be tweaking it with your hands like that, pinching. You never reach those sliders. I think my biggest complaint so far is going to have to be where they put these sliders and the limited movement they have. That's a bit of a shame because I consider sliders to be a really crucial part of any radio, as you probably saw in the review of the Tundra, where I use the sliders to activate the flaps quite significantly, quite often on the fly. So, speaking of flies, there's a damn fly on my camera. There you go. What can I say? That's about it. I have to send a copy of this video off to FrSky, get it approved, I suppose. But yeah, shame about those damn sliders. Maybe, as I say, I've got to do some flying with it first. And I'll tell you, once I'm flying with her, I thought maybe I have to use my middle finger to act. And even then, it just doesn't feel quite right. But we'll find out. I'll give it some time in the air, and then I'll let you know. As I say, I've had it apart. I did a whole lot of repairs because the stick unit got smashed in transit. This switch got, well, the switch here, I think, no, that one got broken. So I've replaced switch. I've stripped the stick units right down to repair them, replaced the parts. So I know this radio inside out now. I've probably pulled it apart and done more work on the insides than anyone else who's got one of these preview radios. Generally, the level of construction is good. It's excellent. The build quality is okay. A couple of niggly little points that I think they should change to FrSky about those. Nothing major, just something that would be nice to change. So there you go. Questions, comments. YouTube's comments were screwed up yesterday. I don't know if they still are. You couldn't comment on a video, but if you can, put a comment if you've got one and a question. I'll do my best to answer them when they appear. So thanks for watching. In the meantime, I better actually charge this up, go and do some flying. Bye for now.